a nation. Hebrew kingdom building.
If you come against the scriptures, man, we gon' rise up. If you come against our heritage, we gon' rise up. It don't matter, anybody get it, man, we gon' rise up, rise up. We rise up. If you come against the king, man, we gon' rise up. If you come against our Elohim, we gon' rise up. It don't matter, anybody get it, man, we gon' rise up, we rise up. Rise up and rise up.
Again, that's Deuteronomy chapter 30. Everybody down? No. Not yet? Okay. Deuteronomy chapter 30. And it shall be, when all these words come upon you, the blessing and the curse which you have set before you, and you shall bring them back to your heart among all the nations where Yahuwah your Elohim drives you, and shall turn back to Yahuwah your Elohim and obey his voice, according to all that I command you today, with all your heart and with all your being, you and your children. Then Yahuwah your Elohim shall turn back your captivity, and shall have compassion on you, and he shall turn back and gather you from all the peoples where Yahuwah your Elohim has scattered you. If any of you are driven out to the farthest parts under the heavens, from there Yahuwah your Elohim does gather you, and from there he does take you. And Yahuwah your Elohim shall bring you to the land which your fathers possessed, and you shall possess it. And he shall do good to you, and increase you more than your fathers. And Yahuwah your Elohim shall circumcise your heart and the heart of your seed, to love Yahuwah your Elohim with all your heart and with all your being, so that you might live. And Yahuwah your Elohim shall put all these curses on your enemies and on those who hate you, who persecuted you. And you shall turn back and obey the voice of Yahuwah and do all his commands which I command you today. And Yahuwah your Elohim shall make you have excess in all the work of your hand, in the fruit of your body, and in the fruit of your livestock, and in the fruit of your ground for good. When Yahuwah turns back to rejoice over you for good as he rejoiced over your fathers. If you obey the voice of Yahuwah your Elohim, to guard his commands and his laws, which are written in this book of the Torah. If you turn back to Yahuwah your Elohim with all your heart, with all your being, for this command which I am commanding you today, it is not too hard for you, nor is it far off. It is not in the heavens to say, who shall ascend into the heavens for us, and bring it to us, and cause it to hear us, so that we do it? Nor is it beyond the sea to say, who shall go over the sea for us, and bring it to us, and cause us to hear it, so that we do it? For the word is very near you, in your mouth and in your heart, to do it. See, I have set before you today life and good, and death and evil. And that I am commanding you today to love Yahuwah your Elohim, to walk in his ways, and to guard his commands, and his laws, and his right rulings. And you shall live and increase. And Yahuwah your Elohim shall bless you in the land which you go to possess. But if your heart turns away, and you do not obey, and shall be drawn away, and shall bow down to other mighty ones or gods, and serve them, I have declared to you today that you shall certainly perish. You shall not prolong your days in the land which you are passing over the Jordan to enter and possess. I have called the heavens and the earth as witness today against you. I have set before you life and death, the blessing and the curse. Therefore you shall choose life so that you live, both you and your seed, to love Yahuwah your Elohim, to obey his voice, and to cling to him. For he is your life and the length of your days, to dwell in the land which Yahuwah swore to your fathers, to Abraham, to Yitzhak, and to Yaakov, to give them. Hallelujah. All praise to the Most High for the reading of His Word. So we're going to go ahead and move forward with the Shema.
Shabbat shalom, y'all. All right, y'all can go ahead and get up now. We just sat for long enough. I'm so excited that you guys are here with us today. You got me back there, Jamal. I'm excited that y'all are here with us today. We're excited to be in this new building. Hallelujah. So we're going to worship our Most High today. All right, we're going to go ahead and start with the Shema. Come on, clap your hands. Shema Israel, Yahuwah Elohim, Yahuwah Shema Israel. unstoppable, invincible, victorious. I can do all things. Come on, we here to worship, we're here to celebrate, we're here to praise His name. Hallelujah. I am unstoppable, invincible, victorious. I can do all things. Hallelujah. Come on and bless His name. Hallelujah. Because of Him. Because of Him. Hallelujah. I am unstoppable, invincible, victorious. I can do all things.
Hallelujah. We come before you to thank you for the set-apart gathering, for bringing us from around the world, from bringing us from our communities, from different locations, to waking us up to our identity, our heritage, Father, and allowing us to be in this time, this season, where we are the ones who are clinging to the covenant, Father, that you made with our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Father, we do not take that lightly. So we exalt you, Most High God, Creator of heaven and earth. There is none like you in heaven or on earth or beneath the earth, Father. You are the one and only mighty Elohim, and you are worthy to be praised. We ask that you send your Spirit here, Father, so that we may get everything that you desire from us today, Father. On this Shabbat, you in the covenant told us to remember it, which means somewhere along the line, people will forget it. So you said, remember the Sabbath and keep it holy. So, Father, as we attempt to do just as you said, we worship you corporately, as a community. Father, cleanse us from anything that we may have done in our past, Father. We repent before you. We repent before you. And we repent for the things that our ancestors have done, Father. Yes. Whether in ignorance or willingly against you, Father, spitefully, raising their fist against you, Father, and mocking the covenant. But Father, we repent for those ancestors. And we ask that you continue to pour out your Spirit upon the world so that our lost brothers and sisters may wake up to who they are and return to this covenant, this mighty covenant that you have given us. Father, we ask that the lesson that is being brought forth will be edifying for someone. That it would help them understand you more, understand your law more, understand the Torah, the covenant. Father, we just ask that you're here in the midst. And we give you praise, honor, and glory in the name of your Son, the glorious sacrifice, Yahushua HaMashiach. We give you praise, honor, and glory in his name. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Some of y'all was like, dang, that's a lot of songs. Hey, it's okay to be happy about something. We got out the library, right?
Hallelujah. Celebrate.
They've been picking with us, messing with the schedule. We meet 2 times a month. We have to meet 3 times a month. Oh, y'all can't do the music no more. Y'all, it's so many things. So we're happy.
Hallelujah.
We're happy. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
So, no, we're going to be doing 6 songs every Shabbat. But it's okay to be happy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like we come into this walk and we can't smile anymore. Everything got to upset us. We got to be uptight about everything. No. It's okay to be happy. Now, here's a practical lesson. I hope that some of you are going to get something out of this. Okay, quick question. Since you have been in the walk, how many of you have sat in a class or multiple classes where someone went through the laws and examined them and said which ones we should keep and not keep? Raise your hand. So we got one person here who has sat in a class where someone has broke down or went through the laws and said, we should keep this, we should not keep this. And I think that's a problem. As we move forward, we're not going to get through everything today. But as we move forward, lesson after lesson, we're going to go through which laws. And some of them we know that we're supposed to keep,
expound on them so you can understand why. Why it's written the way it's written. Because sometimes we do stuff mechanically where, yes, they say it, we're going to do it, but we don't really understand why. And you get defensive if someone brings something out about it because you don't fully understand what it is you're doing. So, in all thy getting, get what? Understanding. So, let's get started. Deuteronomy 30, 10 through 14. Now, let me ask you this. Now, I do like crowd participation. As a matter of fact, my lessons are built upon them. But since we're in a new building, how many of y'all can actually read that?
I see it.
So you can read it all the way back there? Okay. So it's clear, it's visible, people can read. Okay. Can I have someone, an adult, read Deuteronomy 30, 10 through 14?
When you obey the voice of Yah your Elohim, to keep his commandments and his statutes that are written in this book of the law, when you turn to Yah your Elohim with all your heart and with all your soul. For this commandment that I command you today is not too hard for you, neither is it afar off. It is not in heaven that you should say, who shall ascend to Shemayim for us and bring it to us, that we may hear and do it. Neither is it beyond the sea that you should say, who will go over the sea for us and bring it to us, that we may hear it and do it. But the word is very near you. It is in your mouth and in your heart, so that you can do it.
Thank you. Now, what is that saying? How many of us have been told that in the past that we can't keep the law?
They say it all the time. Yeah.
Oh, it's only a few of y'all who's been told that? Okay, so what is this scripture saying then? It's saying that it's not too hard, you can do it. Now, granted, in this land, let's be honest, we have been cultivated to do certain things, to live a certain way. As a matter of fact, all of our pleasures are really things that bring us into bondages, that cause us to break the covenant. But this scripture is saying that it's possible to keep the law. Now, disclaimer, I'm not saying that I've kept the law perfectly. I'm not saying that. But I'm just telling you what the scripture is saying. So when the Most High gave this, he gave it and he put something in us that should allow us, if we are able to conquer our flesh, to be able to do this. Now, did our ancestors do that?
No.
No. Are we doing it now?
No.
We're trying. We're trying. Stuff like this, we're navigating. We're navigating, trying to figure things out. You know, when you come into this walk, you believe one thing. 6 months later, you believe something different.
Yeah.
A year later, something completely different than what you believed a year ago. So we're navigating, we're all trying. Our heart has turned back to the Most High, and we're trying to do what we understand in righteousness, but it takes practice. And what happens when you practice something? You perfect it. You perfect it. Now, once again, in this land, we live in a perpetually unclean land. Everything we do, every place we go, 9 times out of 10, there's some uncleanness there because we don't have our own communities. They're not following the same laws that we are, the same covenant and culture that we have. But we are striving to do what he did. Now, quick question. Simple question. Did Mashiach keep the Torah perfectly?
Yes.
Okay. Very, very simple. Did Mashiach keep all 613 laws?
No.
So I hear some of you saying no. So how explain to me, how did he keep the Torah perfectly, but he did not keep all 613 laws?
Because it ain't 613 laws.
Wait, hold on. Who said that? You said because it's not 613 laws. How do you know that?
Well, a lot of times I feel like it just be repeating itself.
She said a lot of times it seems like it's repeating itself. Would you agree, disagree?
Yes. Agree.
Okay.
Some of the laws are ceremonial.
You say disagree that he didn't keep all of them?
No, I disagree that the laws keep repeating themselves
Okay.
because there were some laws that were attributed to ceremonial.
Okay. What about you, brother?
I got two things.
Okay.
As far as 16, can everybody hear me? As far as 613 laws, the word Torah, numerically, it equals 611. Mashiach says there are two laws. Love the Lord thy God with our mind and our heart, and our brother the same. And all of these laws came on these two principles, which equals 613. Now, as far as if you keep them all, no, because they don't apply to him. He doesn't have a mental cycle, that law don't apply to him. If he's not a farmer, that law doesn't apply to him. If you don't have sheep and oxen, those laws and some of those things don't apply to him. So, no.
Would that be an accurate statement?
Yes.
Okay. I agree. That's exactly how I feel about it. I've taught a lesson like this with this topic, specifically the 613 laws, maybe like 3-4 months ago. And that's one of the things that we have to bring out, because we know that the Mashiach was perfect. He was sinless. But he did not keep all the laws, because the reason why we bring this up is because people in opposition of you would try to badger you and beat you over the head with the fact that, hey, you got to keep 613 laws. Can you really keep 613 laws? And we have all these laws in America that we keep without even making an eye. But then when you really look through the scriptures, a lot of them are repeats. We went through this. A lot of the laws are actually repeats. Because what happened in Deuteronomy? Let me backtrack. In Exodus, Mount Sinai, the law was given, right? Then what happened? Immediately after that, golden calf. All right? So stuff resets. I'm paraphrasing. They make the Most High upset. They go amongst the wilderness. What did he say about this generation of people? He's going to kill them all. They're not going to see what? The promised land. So when they get to Deuteronomy, who is there?
The next generation.
The next generation, who was where? Were they at Sinai? No. Deuteronomy is repeating what was said at Sinai. So when you really look through the scriptures, it's not 613. Now, if you just count them, yeah, on a mechanical level, yes. But in reality, what they're saying, in essence, a lot of them are saying the same thing. And like I say, when you get to Deuteronomy, Moshe is actually just giving a synopsis of everything that has occurred, especially when you get in the beginning of the books. Does that make sense? So those people in Deuteronomy before, which was the ones who died in the wilderness, which was their children, who was not at Sinai, they needed to be reminded of the covenant before going into the promised land. All right? So I already went over that. So here's the problem with misunderstanding Torah. Galatians 3:24-25. Wherefore the law was our schoolmaster to bring us unto who? That we might be justified by what? Faith. But after that faith is come, we are no longer under a schoolmaster. What is a schoolmaster? It's a teacher, also known as a tutor. What was Paul talking about when he wrote this? What was that? Okay, he said the sacrificial system. Anybody else have something else other than the sacrificial system? Because that right there is a scripture that is used to say that we don't need to keep the law, right? That we're not supposed to be doing what we're doing right now. We're bringing ourselves back into bondage.
I guess what I'm saying was the law was our schoolmaster. I think it's saying maybe the spirit of the law is behind it. What is the purpose of saying these things versus just a bunch of do's and don'ts? But what is y'all trying to protect us from?
So what does the teacher do?
Gotcha.
What does they tutor? Okay, instructs. You said what? Once you learn that you no longer need a teacher. So a teacher instructs, a teacher guides. What's that?
Yeah, once this becomes your life, then therefore you don't need to be under being reschooled from.
Okay. So if, for example, hypothetically speaking, if I was showing you all, hey, when you sin, you need to sacrifice this. You need to sacrifice this animal. when you sin, when you do this, you need to sacrifice this animal. When you sin, when you do this, you need to sacrifice this animal. What am I doing? I'm doing this repetition, but what am I? I'm training you. I'm teaching you that when you sin, you need to do this, right? So, what that is simply a foreshadowing of something later. So, like you said, once something comes, you no longer need it anymore. So, when you have a sacrifice that is greater than any other sacrifice that you can give when you sin, do you still need to do those previous sacrifices?
No.
It's redundant. Doesn't make sense, right? So when you misunderstand the Torah, and I know some of y'all have encountered people who use this, that schoolmaster, that's the law of sacrifice. And specifically, the law of sacrificing for sins, because when you look into the book of Acts, they were still doing sacrifices. Drink offerings were still there. Sin offerings were still there because sin offerings cleanse you. It's really called a purification offering. So some of these offerings were still there. It's the purpose of sinning, when you commit unintentional sin, that the Mashiach was killed for. Does that make sense? Yes. All right. So, within the text, which broken laws constituted capital punishment?
Breaking the Sabbath.
Breaking the Sabbath. You say what? Okay, what else? That's two. Murder.
Homosexuality.
Homosexuality. What was that?
Bestiality.
What was that?
Bestiality and homosexuality.
Bestiality, homosexuality. What else?
Kids hitting their parents.
Kids hitting their parents. That's a good one. Adultery. What else we got? Rape. Okay, what else we got?
Idol worship.
Idol worship.
Forget that.
Murder, kidnapping, striking or cursing his parents, rebelliousness, children, their rebelliousness, sacrificing to false Elohims, violating the Sabbath, blasphemy, child sacrifice, divination, adultery, bestiality, incest, homosexuality, rape, and false witness. I forgot to put the two scriptures references down there at the bottom. But all of these things will cause you to get put to death. Now, false witness, I'm not going to go too much into that right now, but there's 2 stars next to it because it's contingent upon something. But we're going to touch on that later. So if these things are going on, do you know anyone who are in this walk who has broken the Sabbath? What did you do?
Talk to them, give them a pep talk.
Okay, you talk to them, give them a pep. That's a good idea. How many of us stoned them?
I picked up one, but I put it down.
Why didn't you stone them?
Whatever level of mercy you show, that same level of mercy shall be given back to you.
But it's in the Torah, brother.
You're in the land of your captivity.
Okay, you say you're in the land of your captivity, which means what? What does that mean? He said you got to obey the laws of the land. What does it mean, brother?
It means that they're going to come and charge you with murder.
They're going to come and charge you. He said there's no judge, there's no community. Anybody else want to add to that?
We're in a dispensation of grace.
He said we're in a dispensation of grace. Okay. Let's look at something real quick. Is Israel a nation?
No.
You're not a nation?
Not in a nation.
Wait, fam. No, man. What are y'all talking about?
Yeah.
What do you mean? We a nation?
We are a people. We are not a nation. And according to the description of the nation, we are not
There you go.
We don't have our own laws, nor do we have our own educators. We don't have our own judges. We don't have our own governors.
Wait, hold on. What you mean we ain't got our own laws? You see this scroll right here? What do you mean we got our own laws?
We don't have our own land. We don't even have our own ordinance.
Okay, real quick. Who all? Did y'all hear her?
Okay, so he brought a rebuttal here, which is interesting.
Okay, what you got?
I'm just saying, the Most High said these people, that means we have nations. Everyone into the law. But the Most High said he's going to live his people. All the scriptures, we never get it. That's why he kept that bloodline all the way down.
Okay.
The grab was 144,000 each tribe.
Okay. Yeah.
Can you repeat that, what he's saying?
Say that one more time.
The scripture says the Most High will rebuild us in one day. That day has not came yet.
All right, that's true.
Jewish people, but we're not going into that.
All right. Check this. What is a nation? This is what we first. Somebody's already asked it. I'm just saying it right now. Somebody's actually already asked it. But let's go continue to walk along methodically. Let's break this stuff down. What is a? Okay, real quick. Go ahead. What you got?
A nation is a group of people that governs them on their own self.
That's a nation?
Yes.
Okay. So let's look and see. A nation. A large body of people united by a common what? What else?
History.
What else?
Culture.
What else?
Language.
And what's that last one?
Territory.
Okay. Why do y'all think I put that in red?
I would say we're a nation within a nation.
Within what nation?
We're a nation within the U.S., which is a nation. So we do, in some places, inhabit a particular state or territory. Not own, but inhabit.
But Israel is everywhere.
She just said Israel is everywhere.
Exactly. So we're nation inside of nation. How about that?
Let's go. Let's get to this next one. Because this next one is important because if I ask you if you know anyone who broke the Sabbath, and you say you did not stone him, then what is your defense? Because you can say grace and all these things, but if it's written in this covenant, right? What is your defense? This is important. Autonomy. The quality or state of being what? Self-directing freedom and especially moral independence. 3, a self-governing state. Now I'm going to go back over here to the sister because she asked the question. Are we a nation? You said no, and then you gave an excellent answer as to why. Go ahead.
We're not autonomous. Governmentally, we're not sovereign. We are submitted unto a set of laws that are foreign to us. We don't have our own land. We don't have our own judges. We don't have a military system. We don't have an independent economic system. All these things that would constitute as a fully functioning nation that is autonomous and sovereign, we do not have.
If we had this, we would be a nation. So then, if we have what's written in here, if someone broke that, then we could do what?
Pick up a rock.
Pick up some. Right, that's true. That's true. Go ahead.
We are a nation, but we're currently a nation divided according to Scripture.
But how are we a nation if we don't even have the particular land? We don't have a land.
Everything's like
So we will become a nation, just like the brother said. He said, the Most High said that he will build a nation in a day. In a day. So we're not there. This is the reason why we can't do what we want to do. If we wanted to truly live by this, the way that it was written, can't when you're in a land that's not your own. But understand why. We know we can't, but we need to understand why, because people will challenge you on what you believe. The opposition will challenge you. Detractors will challenge you and say, well, you ain't keeping the law because if someone did this, you didn't do this. How do you explain that? When the Mashiach was when they wanted to crucify him, what did they have to do? Why? Somebody said you had to go to the Romans. Why? Because what? It was up to who to say the gay name? He said it was up to Pilate. Why? Because they were the governing nation. Israel had lost their autonomy. They were no longer self-governing. They are like we are right now. They were in their land, but that doesn't mean anything if you're not self-governing. Yes, they were in their land, but that means zero if you can't enforce your own culture.
Also, with us being scattered all over the place, it's kind of like a protective mechanism because then the enemy can't really get us down right then and there and destroy us altogether.
Oh, that's absolutely correct. That's true. I mean, a byproduct of us being scattered is that, yes, the enemy can't just take out all of Israel at one time. Can't do it. Absolutely cannot do it. So, yes, you're correct. But as far as us being a nation, if we don't have a land and we're not able to self-govern ourselves, then no, we cannot execute any judgments. Does that make sense? So just because particular instructions have a death penalty attached to it, which can't be carried out, doesn't mean that the instruction itself should not be obeyed. All right? Matthew 8, 3 through 4. So they still didn't have autonomy. We know this because they had to go to the Romans when they wanted to do something. So this was at that time, but still, the Mashiach told them what? And Yahusha stretched out his hand and touched him, saying, I will. Be clean. And immediately his leprosy was cleansed. And Yahusha said to him, see that you say nothing to anyone, but go show yourself to the priest and offer the gift that Moses commanded for proof to them. So we know that they were in the land here, but they didn't have autonomy. They was not self-governing. They could not execute the judgments, but they still had to keep the law. And this is one example from the text. Make sense? And this is the expectation that the Most High has for us. Going back to the fact that even though we're not technically a nation by definition, and we don't have our autonomy, he still expects us to keep these commandments. We know this because Deuteronomy 30 tells us, and I'm going to start in the middle where it first becomes red. And you call to mind among all the what? Where Yahuwah your Elohim has driven you, and return to Yahuwah your Elohim, you and your children, and obey his voice in all that what? So this is Moses speaking. And everything that he was commanding them was these instructions from the Torah. So when we are scattered, we were supposed to return back to this. And when we return back, he said he would gather us from all the peoples that Yahuwah your Elohim has scattered you. If you're outcast in the uttermost parts of heaven, from there Yahuwah your Elohim will gather you, and from there he will take you. So it's still an expectation from the Most High, regardless of our autonomy, that we return back to these commandments. All right? So the goal now is to go through some of these things and figure out if this applies today. Because there are laws that don't apply today. There are laws that everyone cannot do because of their gender, because of their occupation, because of what they own. So we're going to start with the 10 Commandments. Like I said, this lesson is going to go on for a couple weeks. But hopefully, some people will gain some type of understanding of something that they may have had questions about when it comes to the law. All right, Exodus 20 and 3. Somebody read that for me.
Thou shalt have no other Elohims before me.
Does this apply?
Yes.
That is common sense. We ain't even gonna stay on that. All right. Exodus 24 through 5. Somebody read that.
You shall not make for yourself a carved image or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. You shall not bow down to them or serve them, for I, Yahuwah, your Elohim, am a jealous Elohim, visiting the iniquity of the fathers on the children to the third and the fourth generation of those who hate me.
Okay, so this here, you should not make for yourself a carved image. What is he referring to? You said what? She said idolatry. What constitutes idolatry? He said wood, stone. So let me ask you this.
Like rock.
Let me ask you this. So if I came in here with a wood statue of a giraffe, and I set it right here, and I made it by hand, did I just break this commandment?
No.
Okay, some say, see, this is why we need to have this conversation. Because some say yes and some say no. So it's not clear across the board. All right, this is why we're having this. So I create a wood giraffe by hand, carved it and everything, set it here. Did I break this commandment? If someone says yes, explain yes. No. Okay, now you're quiet. No. A giraffe. Okay. A giraffe. Because look, it says, you shall not make for yourself a carved image or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Okay? You say keep reading? You shall not bow down to them or serve them.
That's the thing.
Stop.
You said stop?
Stop.
No.
Okay, so let's look at this. It is not the actual. See, look. This is how they carved things back in the day. It was out of wood. It was out of stone. These were the utensils that they had. These were the items that they used to make something. What you got?
I was just gonna say I agree with you, but it's just like y'all commanded them to make a menorah.
Yes.
Is that not something a work of their own hands? But they didn't even worship it. The thing was they're not supposed to bow down to it and serve it.
Good job. I was about to get there. I mean.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But no, see that, but that's the thing. So they created these objects out of wood and stuff. So there was no way. I mean, and they could use gold and stuff like that because they made golden calves and stuff. But hear me what I'm saying. It's not the fact that a giraffe made out of wood by the works of my hand breaks this commandment. It is that portion in blue because that is the purpose of this commandment. It's to not worship it. When you begin to worship it, it becomes your idol. It becomes idolatry. So at one point in time, I didn't even want an African statue in my house or African anything because I don't know, that looks a little too different for me. I ain't trying to sin, yo. So that's because I didn't have this understanding. I didn't understand what was really there in the text, what he was really trying to convey. Because if you just breeze over it, you would get mixed responses like we had when I asked the question. Go ahead, brother.
Now, I know it's a new feng shui thing where you get the Buddha, right?
I ain't rocking with that.
I'm saying, but you see it in people's houses, right?
Yeah.
Now, what they say? What if they got Buddha in their house? If I ain't worshiping Buddha, it's just there. I agree with you. I'm just putting it out. Because you know Buddha is a feng shui thing. You put it in and out.
That is an excellent question. That is a good job, brother. I appreciate that question. You want to answer it?
I would say some people don't know. It's wrong, period, because it's a version of a man thing. But some people don't know. And I think it's about the intent a lot of times what's going on.
that a lot of people don't walk up and lay down their sins at the foot of the cross. You know, that's more in line with that.
A cross is idolatry. That's right. It is.
Down to the
cross. The cross, the representation of a cross supersedes the representation of the person that was on the cross. It has become an idol. But to answer your question, when they was going into these lands, what did the Most High tell them to do to those Asheroths and the stuff that they created?
Tear down, burn it.
Why?
So you wouldn't inquire about it.
Because what?
So that you wouldn't start worshiping yourself.
But what if it was just a giraffe? It was a representation of something. It was a representation of one of the gods that they worship. So that's where I can say I wouldn't rock. No, ain't no way that I'm gonna rock with something like that because I know the representation of what it is. When they went into these lands, they had to destroy these things because it represented something. It represented another deity, another Elohim. All right?
Is that the case? If that's the case, then should we be going to nail salons when they have like the Buddha statue or like the Chinese restaurants?
Okay, good question. Good question. So here's the thing. When you're in this land,
Repeat the question so people didn't hear it.
She said, so should we be going into, if she said, if that's the case, should we be going into nail salons where they have a Buddha statue or something like that? Very good question. When it comes to certain things in the law, I'm going to get to you, brother. When it comes to certain things in the law, and I'm only using the word law because this is what's been associated. Typically, I don't even use this term because we know it's not law, it's instruction, right? But when it comes to things in the law, you have a yes, you have a no, and I'm talking about trying to follow in the land of your captivity, and then you have a gray area. An area where it's very subjective. What I tell people when we get to this gray area is work out your own salvation. Some people don't use microwaves on the Sabbath. Some people do. We're going to get to the Sabbath, because it's one of the commandments. But apparently that's a gray area because people don't really know whether or not it's breaking the commands or not. Right? So what I would say, and we can get feedback from some other people, when it comes to something like that, work out your own salvation. Because in this land, it's hard to avoid a lot of the companies that own, from some of the cars we drive, from the clothes that we wear. It's hard to completely disconnect unless you are making your own stuff. This is why we do need to create communities where we're patronizing each other. We don't have that yet. We have people that scattered and sell a few things here and there, but we don't have a full-fledged community where we're able to get everything from each other, where we know that there's no idolatry, no nothing attached to it. So when it comes to something like that, I would say work out your own salvation, whatever your convictions lead you. Okay? Does that make sense? All right. Brother had his hand raised.
I'm just thinking about spiritual loyalty and other things about the community. Even some of the people who worship, they were worshiping to idols, and people wouldn't know when they eat meat. They didn't care about idols. But he said it's not about that. It's about you something that wants to double them. So in that context, I think it's like what you said.
Yeah, work out your own salvation. Whatever your convictions are with that.
But whatever you do, like a Buddha statue is stuck to us.
Right.
We know that that's never did.
Right.
If you put that in my house, and someone come in and they see that, they say, well, man, it's not worship. So you got to kind of, like you just said,
work out your own salvation. Hallelujah. Anybody else have a different opinion?
He said my people will perish for lack of knowledge. So if we learn everything, like from when we go to college and learn all these things, why not, before we purchase something, we learn of the origin of those things? Like I'm trying right now to try to figure out how to get stuff out of my house because it was bought before I came in the wall. And so that's my responsibility to figure out what is like against what I believe in and how I go about getting rid of it. It's just like give it away, but I can just figure out how I can get rid of it. I mean, that's our responsibility for people to do that. Yeah.
Anybody got any, what you got?
Even like here in America with the laws, just because you're ignorant of the law does not mean that you're not subject to the consequences of the law.
Yeah.
Now, like we understood from some of your earlier teachings that the law it was very practical. It had purpose behind it. So just because you didn't know to not circumcise your child on the 6th day because you were ignorant, don't mean he's not going to bleed out to death if he doesn't have the medical attention around him to give him the vitamin K and that stuff. And so we understand that there are deeper meanings behind these instructions, and just to say that I'm ignorant could put you in a very tough situation because you're trying to, that could be the outlet for you to do it. You know, we know that in the land of our captivity, they put pork in everything, and they give us different names. Still don't mean that we're not subject to what it does to the arteries and all of that, and you're brushing your teeth. You say, I'm keeping my teeth clean, but your arteries are doing something different.
I agree. Now, there's another part that I haven't read. Visiting the iniquity of the fathers on the children to the 3rd and 4th generation of those who hate me. What does that mean?
The apples don't fall far from the tree.
He said the apple does not fall far from the tree. What else we got? Anybody else got something on that? She said it's generation. What do you mean by generation? That is passed down, like epigenetics? Passed down through the bloodline? Okay. But you said it's passed down through lifestyle. Okay.
Seeing their fathers and mothers doing it, that they repeat that cycle.
Okay. That's good. That's good. Okay.
Yeah, like the hate is like our middle hatred is like not doing his will. That's what it is.
Okay. Now, I have a question. What do we have here? So what is it that we're following? Do we fully understand what the text is saying?
I guess in my case, I didn't understand.
She said that's totally different. Deuteronomy 24:16. Fathers shall not be put to death because of their children, nor shall children be put to death because of their fathers. Each one should be put to death for his own sin. If you look at Ezekiel 18, there's something very interesting if you go to Ezekiel 18. There's a whole expose. The entire chapter is about this subject. Here's just a quick excerpt from that. Yet you say, why should not the son suffer for the iniquity of the father? When the son has done what is just and right, and has been careful to observe all my statutes, he shall surely live. The soul who sins shall die. The son shall not suffer for the iniquity of the father, nor the father suffer for the iniquity of the son. The righteousness of the righteous shall be upon himself, and the wickedness of the wicked shall be upon himself. Do we understand what's going on here in Exodus? What is he talking about? Because that's two scriptures that sound like he's saying something completely different. Unless somebody has someone to reconcile that?
I would like to say that the one that says visiting the iniquity of the fathers onto the children, like right now we're receiving the iniquities because of our fathers. This is in the present time that we're receiving the judgment. But then there is going to be an afterlife judgment. So the afterlife judgment is different if we walk in the law, statute, and commandment. We don't receive that iniquity because we're going to be rightfully judged based upon our own actions.
Good, okay. Did y'all understand what he was saying? Okay. It's interesting that he said that, because when I expound on the verdict here, one of the things to consider is Deuteronomy 28. If I were to sin, He should not die. He should not. I'm going to die for my own sin. But the effects, there's a cause and effect for everything, right?
Yep.
The effects of the things that you do, especially in the spiritual, will be passed along. So we, like the brother said, is suffering an oppression. We're not dying. Some people are dying, but they're not directly dying. There's not a direct connection of a person who was killed by the police to somebody in West Africa from our ancestors who sinned, or someone going back into the land that sinned. There's not a direct connection. There's not an immediate death from the father or from the son because of what the father did. But we are experiencing the oppression because of what our fathers, our forefathers have done. Does that make sense? So when we look through that entire text of Deuteronomy 28, and we get to the curses, these are the effects of what happens when they broke the covenant. But it's not directly connected to another person. This is generation after generation, someone experiences something. So when we see that text, when we see these conflicting texts within the scriptures, we have to understand what it is that we're reading, what it is that we're following, how can it be reconciled. Hallelujah? Hallelujah. All right. Exodus 27. Okay, before I proceed, what's the name of the Most High? Also, I hear some people say Yahuwah. Anybody else got another name? Yahweh. Anybody else got another name? Yah. Anybody else? Somebody said Ahia. What would you got?
It's like a house.
Okay. What else? Yahweh. So you should not take the name Yahuwah your Elohim in vain. For Yahuwah will not hold him guiltless who takes his name in vain. What does he mean when he says do not take my name in vain?
Care. Don't make it useless.
She said not saying his name with a cuss word. That's what I was taught growing up. But is that what it's really saying? Thank you for your feedback though.
I think like committing murder and then getting off in a high power trying to get you off and say thank you, Yahuwah. I think that's taking his name in vain. For thanking him for something that's for sin. Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say doing something wrong and then putting his name to it.
Doing something wrong. So like the Crusades?
Yeah.
To carry.
You said to carry. So he just went to the literal meaning of the Hebrew word. He said to carry. But when we look at it, this is in English, what do we interpret that as? Because even so far, I've gotten 3 or 4 different answers. So, what is a name?
Is it a title?
Shem. We've heard that before, right? We've heard Hashem, Baruch Hashem, bless the name, right? We've heard that before. But when you look at the definition of what a name is, there's something else that comes along with it. And I want y'all to read the part that's in red. Reputation, fame, and glory. You also have by implication, honor, authority, character, fame, renown, report. So is it the specific Hebrew characters that this is talking about when we say don't take his name in vain?
No.
Or is it something else?
Something different.
I would take it as do not be irreverent
Okay.
towards his character.
Okay. Towards his character?
It's very deep, it's very present. Being disrespectful.
Not being disrespectful to his character. You said, okay. Don't take his glory away from him. Okay. Gotcha. What you got, brother? Okay.
The thing is, a lot of times, and this back when you go to church, they'll tell you something what God said, right? but they can't back it up in the scripture.
Okay.
So when they carry out what God says in his name, and it's not backed up by the scripture, it's in vain, because we don't supposed to listen to him. Call every man a lie.
Okay. So let's see what the text has to say. Numbers 14:11-20. And Yahweh said to Moses, how long will this people despise me? And how long will they not believe in me, in spite of all the signs that I have done among them? I will strike them with a pestilence and disinherit them, and I will make of you a nation greater and mightier than they. And then Moses said to Yahuwah, then the Egyptians will hear of it, for you brought up this people and your might from among them. And they will tell the inhabitants of this land, they have heard that you, O Yah, are in the midst of this people, for you, O Yah, are seen face to face, and your clouds stand over them, and you go before them, and a pillar of cloud by day and a pillar of fire by night. Now if you kill this people as one man, then the nations who have heard your what? Will say, it is because Yahuwah was not able to bring this people into the land that he swore to give to them, that he has killed them in the wilderness. And he goes on, but I want to read verse 20, and then Yahuwah actually again, he said, I have pardoned according to your word. So, it was, what is the scripture saying? What was the reason why Yah forgave them? Say it again. He didn't want his name or his character to be defamed. His reputation. Because, guess what? Those Egyptians that Moses brought up, they saw the fire. They saw the miracles and the plagues and all these things. That was great power. But then, you killed these people in the wilderness, you couldn't bring them in that land. You ain't that strong like we thought you were. We thought you was the Elohim of heaven and earth. But you couldn't even take these people and put them in this land that you said you was going to, that you swore you was going to give to them. He's not as powerful as he think he is, or as they thought he was. So, because he cared about his reputation or his name, he forgave them, and he decided not to kill them. Moving forward, he did say that none of them was going to get into the land, but he didn't kill them. He just let them expire into the wilderness.
He didn't kill the seed.
What was that?
He didn't kill the seed.
Yeah, he didn't kill the seed. None of those people made it into the land. But he didn't do what he wanted to do because of his name's sake. So when you move on to Ezekiel 28-9, but they rebelled against me and were not willing to listen to me. None of them cast away the detestable things that their eyes feasted on, nor did they forsake the idols of Egypt. Then I said, I will pour my wrath upon them and spend my anger against them in the midst of the land of Egypt. But I acted for the sake of what?
My name.
So did he act for the vocalization of his name? Reputation. But I acted for the sake of my name, that it should not be what? Profaned in the sight of the nations whom they live, and whose sight that I made myself known to them. One more. I'm just reading the red and blue. Then I said I will pour my wrath. This is later in that chapter. Then I said I will pour my wrath and spend my anger against them in the wilderness. But I withheld my hand and acted for the sake of my name, that it should not be profaned in the sight of the nations. So while we're arguing about what his name is, which I do think it's important to try to get it right, and not just call him whatever you want to call him. When we talk about taking his name in vain, it is about you taking his character, his reputation, and destroying it and trampling it under your foot. Because if you say that you represent the Most High God, and you're out here doing any and everything, and you can't be differentiating between anyone else, then you are taking his name in vain. You are destroying his character. So when people see you and associate your acts, they're going to associate it with your God. Does that make sense?
And it also says in the book of Revelation, only those that's in the book of life don't even know his name.
That is correct. One more. So this is when it was going into, they was crossing over the Jordan, And this was Rahab when she hid the spies, and she did what she did because out of fear of the Most High. So I'm going to start at verse 8. Before the men lay down, she came up to them on the roof and said to them, I know that Yahuwah has given you the land, and that the fear of you has fallen upon us, and all the inhabitants of the land melt away before you. Why do they melt away? For we have heard how Yahuwah, they heard something about this Elohim. They heard something about him. Dried up the water of the Red Sea before you and came out of Egypt, and what you did to the 2 kings of the Amorites who were beyond the Jordan, and Sihon and Og who were devoted to destruction. As soon as we heard it, our hearts melted, and there was no spirit left in any man because of you, for Yahuwah your Elohim, he is Elohim in the heavens above and on the earth beneath. She's making this declaration because of what? Because of what she heard. That reputation keeps going. So if I say your name, Yonatan, if I say your name, brother, your reputation will succeed you even if you're not into this room. So if I say your name in here, anyone knows who you are, something's going to come to their mind, whether good or bad. That's up to you. But it's the reputation that will be attached to your name. Okay? So if you have children, this is why it's important for the children to honor their parents, because if you have children, there's a what? They're a representation of who? Of you. Right, that's also a child. And they don't really have you like, you raised this kid like this? That is a representation of you. That's the name. They're carrying your name. Not just the literal name, which they are, but they are carrying your reputation. When they act up at school, your reputation is also on the line. Right? So this is what we're talking about when we talk about don't take the name in vain. So, I don't know if we got time for this one. Now, the Sabbath, you want to go ahead or not? That's when we're going to do it. Because it's getting late. And I want us to fellowship. Alright. I believe in keeping the Sabbath. Alright. I just want to say this because people are like, if you don't keep the Sabbath the way I keep the Sabbath, then you don't keep the Sabbath. Let's get an understanding. But all that getting, get what? Understanding. Exodus 20:8 through 11. Somebody read that.
Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shall you labor and do all your work, for the 7th day is the Sabbath to Yahuwah your Elohim. On it you shall not do any work, you or your son or your daughter or your male servant or your female servant or your livestock or the sojourner who is within your gates. For in 6 days Yahuwah made heaven and earth, the sea and all that is in them, and rested on the 7th day. Therefore Yahuwah blessed the Sabbath day and made it holy.
The conflict of keeping the Sabbath. What do the majority of the people argue about when it comes to keeping the Sabbath? Word. I heard somebody say, because we're in captivity. I've heard that. What else we got? He said, it don't matter, I got to pay my bills.
When your ox fall in the hole, should you leave it down in there?
Come on.
I've also heard that this preacher one time said that
don't kindle a fire.
Then that person is accursed because they cannot follow all of the laws.
Yeah.
And I think she was pulling from the
She's pulling from Paul. She's pulling from Paul. Because she misunderstands the Torah. But yeah. So she's pulling from Paul. What do we who know we're supposed to keep the Sabbath? Because how do I know that?
When it began.
Y'all are here. So let's go over a couple of things. They argue on what day to keep the Sabbath on. Can you keep the Sabbath on land that's not your own? Working on the Sabbath? Helping or doing good on the Sabbath? Cooking on the Sabbath? Fire on the Sabbath? Buying and selling?
Washing dishes.
This is a very it's an unnecessarily controversial subject. When it's supposed to be a delight, we can't, not we, but we are here, but our brothers and sisters can't even come together appropriately and enjoy it because we got to debate. We got to debate with each other about every little thing. Well, let's go through some of this stuff and try to get an understanding. Before we go to that, what is the Sabbath to the children of Israel?
Sign.
Our first slide said, what did you say, brother? It is a sign. Yep. So if you are a child of Yisrael, you should be doing what? Whether it's Friday night to Saturday night, whether it's sunrise to sunset, whether it's Thursday, whether it's every full moon, whatever you have come to your understanding that the Sabbath is, you should be keeping the Sabbath. You should not be using an excuse to not keep the Sabbath if you call yourself Israel. That's just the bottom line. Regardless of what day or how you observe it, you should know that you're supposed to be observing it if you call yourself Israel, because that is a sign of his covenant with us. Exodus 31, 13 through 17. You shall speak to the people of Israel and say, above all you shall keep my Sabbath, for this is a sign between me and you throughout what? Your generations, that you may know that I, Yahuwah, sanctify you. You shall keep the Sabbath because it is holy for who? You. Everyone who profanes the Sabbath shall be put to death. Whoever does any what? That's very controversial. That soul shall be cut off from among his people. 6 days shall work be done, but the 7th day is a Sabbath of solemn rest, holy to Yahuwah. Whoever does any work on the Sabbath, they shall be put to death. Therefore, the people of Israel shall keep the Sabbath, observing the Sabbath throughout their generations as a what? It is a sign forever between me and who?
The people of Israel.
So there's no reason to not be observing the Sabbath if you are of Israel. If you ain't, that's on you. But if you're of Israel, I don't care what day you're keeping it on. Just know that it's not a day that you can just pick and choose. We can't do that. I mean, whatever your research, your studies have brought you to, then you keep it on that day. However, it's not just something that you can pick and choose. Well, I'm going to do it on Wednesday because I like my Saturdays. Or I'm going to do it another day because you want your weekends free.
My boss won't let me get off.
Your boss won't let you get off. Don't even do that. Don't even do that. Don't do that. You're going to start a riot up in here. All right. One of the issues with the Sabbath is work. What is work according to the Shabbat that we are not supposed to do?
Job.
I just picked up this bottle. Was that work?
Professional. What you do for a living.
He said, what you do for a living. What is work? So let me ask you all a serious question then. Because I've really seen a lot of debate, so I think this is very important to discuss. When we came in, the people who was here before left little leaves and stuff right here. If I swept that up, would I be working?
No.
Some people say yes, some people say no. This is why we're having this discussion.
I say yes because there is physical exertion, and it can get to the point of extreme physical exertion, which takes your mind off of the most high.
Okay, so she said because there is physical exertion that can make you what?
It can escalate to extreme physical exertion.
It can escalate to extreme physical exertion, which could do what after that?
Take your mind off of Yah.
Take your mind off of God because you tired, boss. What you got?
I think it's for personal or financial gain.
There you go.
Personal or financial gain. So the word right here, Moreh, it says occupation, work, business. Bullet point below it, occupation, business, property, work, something done or made, workmanship, service, use, public, business. Something that is business. But we saw somebody get put to death for picking up sticks. So I should be sweeping. Yes or no?
He might have been on the business.
He said that, these two said it might have been his job.
He was instructed, they were instructed specifically not to go out and to get sticks to kindle a fire. He was instructed specifically. It wasn't like you said you came in and the last people left some leaves up there, so you just getting that out the way.
Okay, let's see. What's this out there?
My son told you, so I ain't gonna never clean it up.
Yo, if you spill something at your house, are you gonna clean it up?
Yeah.
Let's be practical.
Okay. we don't get to it. I love this feedback. I love this feedback. Go ahead, brother.
Some people violate the command to come together on Shabbat because they say driving is an exertion to them.
Okay.
I hit traffic on the way here twice.
But you know what? Let me be honest with you real quick. Let me be honest with you. I'm gonna get to you, brother. When I first came to this walk, I felt the same way. I felt like I couldn't drive because I might get tired. So that's actually true. I literally felt that way. I don't feel that way anymore. So I don't feel that way anymore, but I did feel that way. So this is what I'm saying. When you come into this walk, if no one's breaking this stuff down on how it should be followed, you just gonna go to whatever your mind interprets, or you may Google something, you come across something from a Jewish source, and then you're gonna be doing a lot of, or not doing a lot of stuff that you can actually do because they have so many fences that they have created. Go ahead, brother.
But I also say, the way I see it is the Most High, what was His work? His work was creation, and He rested from doing
Yeah, He did.
on the seventh day. That was His job. So the Sabbath is resting from doing your job,
Okay, hallelujah. So when you look at the Hebrew, when you look at the Hebrew, there it's there. That's what it's telling. It's referring to business. But what else do we have? I've already went over that. And the reason why I keep saying it is because it's imperative that we get an understanding of what we're doing in this walk. And we're not just listening to whoever to say whatever, or we're just trying to come to our own conclusions without really studying, just whatever we may Google or come across a meme on Facebook. You gotta get an understanding. My stuff is out of order. Okay, yeah. It's cool. What's your question? Oh, we're gonna get that too. Wait till we get to that. Wait till we get there. Alright, so there's a couple things, I don't know why my slides not on there, but there's a couple things we need to address. We have Nehemiah 10:28-31. I'm not going to read all of the other stuff, but basically they were coming back and they were making an oath to the Most High that they wasn't going to do some of these things. Now, some of these things you find in the Torah. Someone showed, okay, real quickly. And if the peoples of the land bring in goods or any grain on the Sabbath day to sell, we will what? All right, and since this was in the opposite, I don't know why my slides are out of order. But here's my question to you. Where in the Torah does it tell you not to buy or sell? Is that the Torah? What is the foundation of what we stand on? The Torah. Why is he saying this? Is he adding to the text? That's a command not to do that.
He's not adding to the text.
What's your name? I like you. We're gonna break it down. There is no law that says you cannot buy or sell on the Sabbath. But it's something that you have to dig to get the understanding about. So, here's a few points of view when it comes to this. There is something not documented in the Torah that Nehemiah knew. This is an unlikely scenario. Point 2, Nehemiah was creating a fence to keep people from breaking the Sabbath, as he did with the closing of the gates, because that was a fence to keep people from breaking. That was not commanded to do that, to close the gates. Or because if merchants came into their community, they were subject to the laws of Israel. Therefore, if they sold in the midst of Israel, that would be sin. And if an Israelite purchased from them, they would be complicit or accomplice in breaking of the law, bringing sin in the cap. Therefore, the selling was the main focus, because if they were selling, they were working. Buying is the byproduct that would bring the sin into Israel. So if me and this brother here, I'm working, he buys something for me on the Shabbat. He didn't work, but he participated in bringing sin upon me. I was already on my own because I was working. I was already in sin. But his participation just made him who brought sin into him as well. Go ahead.
Also, if you're in a market and you're buying a large quantity of something, what you gonna do? Leave it there till tomorrow?
No, you're
You're
not.
gonna pick it up and carry it.
You are.
So now you're working too.
So when you look at these texts, like this, Nehemiah 13, 15 through 18, in those days I saw in Judah, that's important, people treading wine presses on the Sabbath and bringing in heaps of grain and loading them on the donkeys, and also wine, grapes, figs, and all kinds of loads which they brought into Jerusalem on the Sabbath day. And I warned them on the day when they sold food, Tyrians, also who lived in the city, which means that they lived there, they were subject to what? Brought in fish and all kinds of goods and did what? On the Sabbath. You see how they keep emphasizing the selling part? So the buying is just simply a byproduct. It's the selling part that was the issue. This is why I say if they bring stuff here, we won't buy from them. Now, I'm not telling y'all to go out and buy none on the Sabbath, because like I said, gave my disclaimer earlier, I do not buy on the Sabbath. I don't work on the Sabbath. But I just want us to get an understanding of what is being said. So if they're selling, they are working. If they're working, they're doing what? It is about your profession. It is about your profession. Does that mean go out and cut your grass? I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. You have 6 other days to do that. I agree. So no, I would not do that. But specifically, the way the text is written, it is about your occupation.
What would you say as far as when it comes to like online stores and stuff, like if people have online stores set up, and people, should you shut down your online store? Because they usually don't have like a turn it off for a day or turn it off at a certain time.
If you own a business that service online, very good question. I think that's a gray area. I think that's when we have to work out your own salvation. Some people would shut down the store. But it's hard to just take not saying because it's hard not to do it, that's not what I'm saying, but it is hard to just deactivate a web page that no one is actually operating. The orders don't even get shipped out until the work week. But something like that, I won't tell you yes, I won't tell you no, I will tell you to work out your own salvation, and whatever your conviction brings to you. I'm going to stop there. I'm taking the question, I'm going to stop here, because there's more we can get into. But we're running way behind. Go ahead, brother.
I just want to say, with people with Chick-fil-A, they see that guy closed on Sunday, and it's a testament to his mistaken faith.
Mm-hmm.
When we are not available on Saturday, so why are you not available? It's an opportunity when he says, men will see your good works.
Mm-hmm.
They can't see your good works if you're not doing it.
I absolutely 100% unequivocally agree. One thing I highly respect about Chick-fil-A, although I get upset when I can't get it on Sunday, is the fact that he believes
that so strongly that he is willing as a fast food restaurant to not be open on Sunday. That's the type of conviction that we should have. To where we are willing to lose money. I personally turned down a lot of overtime on the Shabbat because it's not worth it. I'm not about to break this Shabbat. So he believes firmly in his heart and soul that the Lord's day is the day that he keeps holy, even though he's wrong. But I respect his I respect his conviction. I really, really do. But I do be honest with you around Sundays. Go ahead, sister.
I guess my question is more, I don't want to say more practical, but a lot of people would agree that a wife and a mother's jobs are never done. So when it comes to things like what I consider like labors of love, like cooking for your husband or your family, like where does that fall as far as that?
You do not cook on the Sabbath. That's something that we was going to go over later, but like I said, it's 3, so we gotta wrap this up. But just because it's a labor of love does not exclude the fact if it's against what the text says. These labors of love can be done 6 days throughout the week. Yeah, when you look at the whole pulling the ox out of the dish, just like he brought it to the attention, hey, you circumcised on the Sabbath so that the law wouldn't be broken. Circumcised on the 8th day, the 8th day kind of falls on the Sabbath, what do? You circumcise. Your neighbor's ox fall in the dish, it's not even yours, but your neighbor's ox fall in the dish, what do? You sure? Yes. You absolutely help them because it's written in the Torah that you cannot turn a blind eye to them. You have to help them. So if it just so happens to fall on Shabbat, you help them. There's one thing about the Most High is that, and I know this is, we look at this word now with a little with a side eye, but His grace and His mercy is real. And that's what He's seeking from people, is their grace and mercy. So if someone is suffering, you help them. You relieve those burdens. This is why He did what? He healed on the Shabbat. Because He was relieving them of a burden. If your neighbor's cutting down trees because they wanted to, you do not help them. But if your neighbor cut down trees and that tree fell on him, you help him.
Yeah, I just want to be clear with people. When you say your neighbor, we're meaning our brothers in the walk.
When you say neighbor, well, let me ask you this. In the text, when He said your neighbor, who is He referring to?
Israel.
He was referring to Israel. Does that answer your question?
I just
yes,
want to know if
he refers to Israel.
Okay.
Now, if there's a caveat to something like that when it comes to helping someone, if you help someone who is under some, like a physical, or let's use the example I just gave. Your neighbor is not of Israel. He's cutting a tree. The tree falls on him. Just because he's not of Israel, do you not help him?
You do.
You do, because how do you let your light shine? How cold-hearted would that be to allow someone to sit there and bleed out, or to be crushed, and you had the capacity in your soul to help, and you don't do it? That's against you. Go ahead. The last question.
Okay, if you're with someone on the Shabbat and they go and buy something, and they give a part of that to you, are you necessarily breaking the Shabbat?
Good question. The 13-year-old young man in the back working the camera said, if you're out with a friend and they go and buy something on the Shabbat and give you a piece, are you breaking the Shabbat? That is a very good question. I think that's a great area. I think that's a great area. To be honest, I really have a real answer for that. I think that's a great area. I think that's when you have to work out your own salvation. Go ahead, brother. You have something?
Should you be out with someone on the Shabbat that's not keeping it in the first place? Because, you know, when it talks about not doing our own will of our own pleasure. Should you be out with someone on the Shabbat that's not seeking to keep? Now, there are certain circumstances, because I'm a co-parent as well, so things are different. But at that point, if you do have an ability to choose, not doing your own pleasure, this is the day you're supposed to give solely to Allah. So if there's a wedding going on, I mean...
Okay, he just said something good. He said there's a wedding going on. Okay, I'm going to tell you what I do and what I don't do. What I do is I keep the Shabbat. What I don't do is I don't celebrate birthdays, I don't celebrate weddings, I don't do any other thing other than keep the Shabbat on the Shabbat. Anything else can wait until after the sun goes down. And if it's over by the time the sun goes down, then, oh well, so be it. You have to have that conviction on what are you going to put first. So at the end of the day, because you can be, the thing about it is not only are you doing something that does take your focus off the Most High, but it also puts you in a position to where you could potentially sin. Because let's say you go to a barbecue. And most of us, not all, but most of us, if we go to a barbecue, let's say our family members are there, they're not eating the same way we eat. So you are potentially putting yourself in a position not only take your mind and your perspectives and your being away from focusing on the Most High, but also you could potentially eat something that will make you unclean, sin, or not on the Shabbat. So, once again, something like that, I would recommend not doing. I don't do anything on the Shabbat other than keep the Shabbat. And like I say, after the Shabbat, we can get down. But until then.
What if you have no food in your house?
Okay, so you can. What's that?
And y'all home.
Okay. No, okay, that's a very good question. But here's the thing. Here's the thing. That's very good. Very good question. What do you do if you ain't got no food? Well, what were you doing yesterday? Now the caveat to that is this. What did David do?
He went and ate the showbread.
Guess what? You do not neglect the responsibility of the prep days, therefore a reason. But if a situation occurred where you were without food, then at that point, yes, you can get you something to eat. Grace and mercy. He's looking for mercy. Go ahead.
Can I just say that one of the things I know he didn't get a chance to go into this yet is the Sabbath is a holy convocation you're supposed to gather. So if you're hungry and you gather with your people, you're going to eat. If it was someone else, I think one of the issues is a lot of us just want to sit at home on the Shabbat. But if you actually are convocating or gathering, and if you're in that position, you can contact somebody. I'm hungry. Since y'all bring something, there's another opportunity other than just being in your own field, in your own way, and just breaking it because you're hungry.
And that's just like if a person was homeless and they were hungry and you walk past them, do you not feed them? You're supposed to. Even if it's on the Shabbat. Go ahead, brother.
One of the things that I like to say is we keep the 10 commandments, the 10 words, every day of the week, but we forget the Sabbath the other 6 days. So if we were, if you won't commit adultery and you won't murder on Monday, should you not take time? Because I'll say this, and not to brag, but I like to tell people this is a sign. This is why this is important. If I'm talking to somebody and they say, "Oh, this, they're giving away free whatever on Saturday," I can't take it because Saturday is set apart.
Right.
It's something that it's a sign of a covenant. So it's your marriage. It's your wedding band.
Mm-hmm.
You don't just put that on when you're with your husband or with your spouse. You wear that all the time.
Right.
It's something that we wear every day, that we are committed to him and he's committed to us. We have a sitting appointment. If you were going to see the president or the governor or somebody that you thought was important, you wouldn't wait till that day to, let me scramble, let me get ready.
Right.
You'd be like, man, I'm going to be seeing him 3 days. You're going on vacation, you're thinking about it far in advance. But we tend to put ourselves in what we want to do. And I'm guilty of this. So important that we're every Friday scrambling trying to get ready because we didn't take the opportunity to be obedient to that commandment all through the week.
Hallelujah. I agree. That's the last question, brother. We can continue talking afterwards if you want to, but there's food back there, people ready to eat. It's getting hot. We gotta wrap this up. But next week we're gonna be back at this where we're going. There's still more stuff on the side because they talk about cooking on the side, but they talk about the God gathering things. We need to figure out why these things occurred. Especially the sixth one. If I said that sweeping up these leaves would not be a sin, but I'm saying, they said that we need to figure out why. What's going on here? So there's still more, and then we can get into, we can end up getting outside the 10 and get into some of these other ones that people have questions on about being unclean and stuff like that. Hallelujah. 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 Let's pray. Please stand. Hallelujah. We thank you for this day that you have given us. We thank you for allowing us to be in a position to come together to fellowship on this set-apart day, so that we may worship you, sing, and lift up our voices to you, so that we may go through the scriptures, have a dialogue, Father, a peaceful, meaningful dialogue with each other about your commandments, Father. Lord, that we all just want to serve and please you. So we're trying to get an understanding of what it is that we're supposed to be doing, Most High God. So we thank you for allowing us this opportunity to be here together. And we thank you for the fellowship that will occur. We ask that the food makes our bellies merry, Father, and that we will begin to fellowship and build relationships, tangible relationships that will exceed these walls of this building that we're in, Father. We thank you for the very breath in our lungs. We appreciate you. And we thank you for that sacrifice. We cannot forget Yahushua HaMashiach. We thank you for him and his obedience that he had despite what his flesh wanted him to do. We ask that you make us as dedicated to your word as he was, even in the face of death. That we would not forsake this covenant that you made with us via our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And in the name of your Son, we pray. Hallelujah. Hallelujah.